Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from Outkick dated December 27th. And I guess this is a question that I would be asking everybody out there, and maybe something you've wondered yourself, which the title of the article says, if you're wondering why the media is so bad, a new survey says just 3% of journalists are Republicans. So, gee, I wonder why it's so skewed, all the news that we get all the time. So let's just dive right in. It says, who would ever guess that the overwhelming majority of the media does not view themselves as Republicans? A new survey, which has been conducted since the 1970s, is out on the composition of the journalism profession at major media outlets. And while there's plenty of information on the state of the profession, the headline result is on the political composition of journalists, and who boy is it bad. I can't say I'd be surprised by anything like this, but thought I'd bring it up for everybody just to see how bad things actually are. In 2022, according to the survey, 3.4% of journalists were Republicans. 50 years ago, it was 25.7, which still is not great, but going from quarter of the journalists are Republicans to barely any, that's not good. It says most journalists laughably describe themselves as independents, with 36.4% labeling themselves as Democrats. Sounds pretty evenly matched. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say, let's go down here because this is the actual chart here. So you can see, I'll just move it to the middle of the screen. And you can see in 2022, yeah, 51%. This is independent right here. Yeah, I'm going to somehow doubt that. But yeah, 36.4, 3.4. So yeah, everything's pretty fair, as you can tell, and I say with all due sarcasm. Says, and as the results show, the percentage of Democrat media members over time has grown or stayed relatively consistent. Let's just go back up here. Yeah, 51.7 going backwards to 2013, 50.2. Actually, it went up from 2002. So in a decade, it went from 32. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at Democrats. I'm looking at independents. My bad. So 3.4%. Oh, that's Republicans. Geez, I cannot read. 36.4, 28.1, 35.9. Yeah, it has been. Okay. I just wanted to double check on that. It says, but Republican members have collapsed. Yeah, and you can see it goes from 18% even in 2002 to 3.4% 20 years later. It says there are a limitless number of negative consequences to these percentages, and the lack of representation on the right has directly led to a collapse of trust in major media outlets. And it says media outlets enforce ideological conformity, which is never a good thing. It says the media's overwhelming bias against the right has been obvious for decades, but these results highlight just how overwhelming the numbers have become, and has unquestionably led to massive repetitive mistakes. It says take a certain disease of Chinese origin as one recent example. And instead of criticizing experts or politicians who made unequivocal statements of fact that were inevitably proven wrong, they promoted and upheld whatever the establishment said. Journalism is, in theory, supposed to hold power accountable. But when the power structures in education, entertainment, and other influential industries are aligned politically with media members, incentives are quickly altered. Because there are countless stories over the past decade that the media has botched. And yeah, I mean, I've made a number of videos and stuff like that over time. But I mean, I can finish out, actually, no, I'll let that sentence go. I thought this was going to be another headline for a new section. But I've said before, like, just since Trump got the Republican nomination back in 2015, how many times have you seen a left-leaning like personality or news organization, magazine, something anything from like an MSNBC or CNN to Vox, Vice, whoever or individual personality say something that is provably false, you know? I mean, you've seen it quite a bit. Just in those, and I mean, I'm talking about just since Trump got the nomination, you've seen that a lot. I mean, if you were to take the same criteria and apply it to the right, you don't really see that. I mean, I can't. I'm sure there has been something, but I can't think of myself a single story that a right-leaning. Uh, I'm not talking about personalities. It's more, when it's the organizations, it tends to be a lot better. But when it's like personalities, of course, some personalities I've seen stuff that's been false. But I mean, yeah, it's just you can see why everything gets botched. It says so finishing up there it says Russia collusion, the Hunter Biden laptop, and many other absurd sports conclusions we see. Yeah, I mean that's just true. It's the only way that the industry can regain trust is to ironically diversify. So the same profession that overwhelmingly supports the DEI process must use equity to ensure more equal representation. Should be simple for them to conform to their ideological goals, right? Yeah, but they're hypocrites at their core. I mean, they're gonna look at that and go, well, yeah, there's no ideological, or they're gonna say, yeah, it is. There is. They don't like the. It's diversity, except for diversity of thought. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, if it's diversity of thought, no, 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 we absolutely cannot have diversity of thought. So you're already not living up to your ideological goals, as it says right here. So it says, as it said here, it should be simple never to conform to ideological goals, right? And then it says, of course not. As we've seen, when left wing Democrats take control over an industry or corporation, they don't let go. Disney, the NBA, ESPN, and many others are a shell of what they used to be thanks to ideological capture. Says journalism is no different. If anything, it's worse, even though roughly half the country is on the right. Says that based on these results, maybe in a few years they can finally reach their goal and eliminate Republicans from the media altogether. I'm sure that's probably the goal. And I guess if somebody is a right leaning independent or just a Republican in general, you probably got to keep your mouth shut about it and just play along. You certainly aren't going to be having a job at like the New York Times or the Washington Post or anything like that. But is this surprising to you? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.